So I think they're just throwing stuff at the wall and hoping that it sticks because they know that their client is guilty and they're just trying to do the best that they can with a guilty client.
As you all know, I made a request today for what we were calling a gag order, and I'm not going to walk out of court and do anything other than live up to it.
The world of celebrity scandals has been shaken once again, and this time it involves one of the most infamous names in music history, Diddy. The once untouchable mogul, whose legacy spans decades of chart-topping hits and high-profile business ventures, now finds himself embroiled in a courtroom battle that could forever redefine his public image. But it wasn't just the legal drama that turned heads. It was a shocking appearance that left journalists, fans, and even the courtroom in stunned silence. So what happened to the charismatic powerhouse, once known for his flashy lifestyle and larger-than-life persona? Let's dive into the unfolding saga.
This is the end of the Diddy story as we know it.
When Diddy made his latest court appearance, he was nearly unrecognizable. Gone was the polished image of the music mogul who had dominated red carpets and magazine covers for years. Instead, the man who shuffled into the courtroom looked visibly aged, with overgrown gray hair and a matching beard that seemed to add decades to his face. Reporters described him as bloated and worn down, a far cry from the sharp-dressed entrepreneur the public once knew. Dressed in a tan jumpsuit, his demeanor shifted between moments of somber reflection and brief flashes of his old self, offering faint smiles to supportive family members seated in the gallery. His stark transformation led many to wonder whether the stress of his mounting legal troubles had finally caught up with him, or if something deeper was at play. The courtroom buzzed with murmurs as journalists scribbled notes, struggling to reconcile the man before them with the once invincible icon. "Oh my God, he looks terrible," one observer was overheard saying. Others speculated whether his sudden physical decline was a deliberate strategy. Was Diddy attempting to gain sympathy from the court, or was this the genuine toll of an empire crumbling under decades-long allegations? Regardless of the reason, the visual impact was undeniable. It was the embodiment of a fallen titan, stripped of the aura that had once shielded him from scrutiny.
In her civil lawsuit, Cassie said that she was the victim of abuse, assault, and rape at the hands of Diddy.
Adding to the intrigue of the day were the new claims brought to light during this court session. Prosecutors, emboldened by what they described as critical evidence, presented damning allegations that painted an even darker picture of the mogul's past. These claims, spanning years of alleged misconduct, included accusations that Diddy wielded influence over his network of employees in ways that crossed both moral and legal boundaries. One particularly shocking assertion involved his alleged use of intimidation tactics to maintain control, a revelation that left the courtroom in stunned silence. The severity of these accusations only served to heighten the stakes of his already monumental legal battle.
We are not done. This investigation is ongoing, and I encourage anyone with information about this case to come forward and to do it.
But it wasn't just the courtroom revelations that had people talking. Rumors began swirling about Diddy's deteriorating health, with insiders hinting that the mogul's current condition might be more serious than initially thought. Some close to the situation suggested that years of high-stakes business dealings, combined with the pressure of his legal woes, had taken an irreversible toll on his physical and mental state. "He's not the same man he used to be," a source reportedly said, adding fuel to the fire of speculation. Whispers of exhaustion, stress, and even underlying health conditions have circulated among those watching the case closely, though no official confirmation has been provided.
You said we are not done and that Combs did not do this alone. Do you foresee that there could be other charges related to this case?
I'm not taking anything off the table.
Observers couldn't help but notice how this speculation tied into the narrative of his potential surrender. Rumors abound that Diddy, once fiercely defiant in the face of accusations, has shifted his stance, with some insiders claiming he may be cooperating with federal authorities. If true, this would mark a dramatic turning point in the case, signaling a possible admission of wrongdoing or an attempt to mitigate the consequences he faces. Sources close to the investigation have hinted that Diddy's team might be exploring this avenue as a way to protect his remaining interests, though any such claims remain unverified.
A U.S. judge has ruled that the rapper and producer Sean Diddy Combs will stand trial on federal sex trafficking and racketeering charges in May. He'll be held in prison until then. Sean Combs has pleaded not guilty to charges that he used his business empire to transport women and male workers across state lines to take part in recorded sexual performances. If convicted, he could face a life sentence. David Willis reports.
The courtroom drama has also been amplified by the presence of his family members, who have stood by him despite the mounting allegations, and his latest appearance. His son Christian, his daughter Chance, and his mother Denise were all present, providing a rare glimpse into the personal toll this case has taken on Diddy's inner circle. At one point, he turned to blow a two-handed kiss toward his family, a small but pointed gesture that seemed to underscore the human element of his otherwise sensationalized saga. And yet, even their visible support couldn't overshadow the magnitude of the accusations against him. Clip 7.
Hey, real quickly, all that commissary stuff, he's not getting any of that because people in the shoe have an abbreviated list. So he's out of luck. No stake for him. Yeah, he is on watch. This guy thought he would have went home. All of a sudden, he didn't get bond. Remember, the first night that he was there, he was like an overnight.
The narrative took an even more dramatic turn as rumors of Diddy's alleged cooperation with authorities began to gain traction. Could this signify a new chapter in the case? Speculation ran wild as legal experts debated the implications of such a move. Was Diddy cutting a deal to save himself? Or was this part of a larger strategy to shift focus away from the more damaging aspects of his case? Whatever the answer, one thing is clear. This is a man who, for the first time in decades, appears to be on the defensive in a way that even his vast resources and influence cannot easily counteract.
And I understand that he has a shrink coming by his cell to see him several times a day. And now there's talk about putting him in, it's like a bubble. It's like a cell that has like a plexiglass wall in it where they have inmates watching you. That's actually their job, to keep an eye on the inmates that are on side watch.
As the courtroom session concluded, questions about Diddy's future loomed larger than ever. His once flawless reputation as a music mogul and cultural icon now lies in tatters, replaced by a narrative of alleged misconduct and legal battles that threaten to overshadow his storied career. The sight of a visibly aged and subdued Diddy leaving the courtroom seemed to crystallize the fall from grace that has captivated public attention in recent months. But the day's revelations didn't stop there. Behind the scenes, whispers of internal conflict within Diddy's legal team began to surface, hinting at possible divisions over the direction of his defense strategy. And then there was the news of Cassie's certificate, a crucial piece of evidence that could potentially sway the case in favor of the prosecution. The significance of this development, combined with persistent rumors of Diddy's declining health and alleged cooperation with authorities, added yet another layer of complexity to an already convoluted saga.
Now, to the latest on the arrest of Sean Diddy Combs. This one has so many people talking. The disgraced music mogul facing federal racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking charges. Both the prosecution and defense teams are set to discuss the next phase of action following the indictment, as investigators work to determine potential co-conspirators. But how exactly did we get here?
Just as the courtroom emptied and the buzz began to quiet, a new wave of speculation started to build. Could this be the beginning of the end for one of the most recognizable figures in entertainment? And if so, what does that mean for the legacy he spent decades building? These unanswered questions leave the story wide open, ensuring that this is far from the last we'll hear about Sean Diddy Combs and the legal battle that has captivated the world. So, just when you thought the drama couldn't get any more intense, the spotlight turned to Diddy's legal team, a group that's supposed to be his last hope, yet seems to be surrounded by whispers of betrayal, internal conflict, and questionable motives. Imagine this. The people who should be fighting tooth and nail for his freedom are now at the center of speculation
to keep their strategy intact. public realm, this is very significant, just from who we associate Diddy being and everything we've seen him do over the decades. Like you said, this is quite the downfall to go from, I mean, we saw the mansions back in March that were raided by the feds. So to go from living in those mansions to being in a jail cell right now, I think it really underscores the magnitude of what he's facing and the weight of the federal government.
Rumors have been swirling for weeks that Diddy's legal team, led by high-profile attorney Mark Agn, is not as unified as they'd like people to believe. Insiders have suggested that certain members of his defense might not be fully committed to his cause. Instead, their true allegiance may lie elsewhere, with powerful figures in the background pulling the strings and ensuring their own interests are protected. It's been said that some of these shadowy influencers are more concerned about what Diddy might reveal than whether or not he walks free. And let's be honest,
I think it's to be expected, just the shock of this and the questions about what is ahead of us. I mean, how long is he going to be in custody? Is this an R. Kelly situation? Is he going to not get out for a number of years? Is he going to end up serving a long-term prison sentence from this? Or does he have a chance of beating these charges at a trial that could come?
Speculations over divided loyalties have only grown louder after Anthony Ricco, one of the attorneys on Diddy's defense, abruptly announced his intent to withdraw from the case. The timing couldn't be worse. Just months before the trial is set to begin, and with the stakes higher than ever, Ricco's departure raised eyebrows across the board, with some insiders calling it a sign of chaos within the defense and others suggesting that Ricco might have been pressured to step aside. His cryptic statement about being unable to serve.
Now, this particular defense attorney's reason for quitting wasn't really a reason at all, making his departure a lot more puzzling.
Speculations over divided loyalties have only intensified after Anthony Ricco, one of Diddy's defense attorneys, abruptly announced his intent to withdraw from the case. The timing couldn't be worse. Just months before the trial is set to begin, and with the stakes higher than ever, Ricco's departure raised eyebrows across the board, with some insiders calling it a sign of internal chaos within the defense and others suggesting he might have been pressured to step aside. His cryptic statement about being unable to serve consistent with the standards of justice left everyone guessing. Was it a matter of principle, or was there something more sinister at play?
Potentially. It could be a conflict with the client, right? A disagreement. They just don't get along. The communication is poor. They don't agree on defense strategy. It could be a conflict with one of the other lawyers. Obviously, it seems like Agnifilo is the lead on this case, although Ricco was certainly his 1B.
At the same time, whispers about internal disagreements on how to handle the influx of evidence have intensified. Insiders have suggested that some members of Diddy's legal team want to focus on discrediting the chain of custody, arguing that the evidence could have been tampered with or taken out of context. Others, however, reportedly prefer a more aggressive approach, aiming to preemptively dispute the relevance of these materials before they're even presented. This internal tug-of-war has only fueled speculation that the defense team is struggling to make.
And I know obviously there's other lawyers on the case. Obviously a lot of the victims are female. They're going to want female lawyers on the defense team, especially during some of the aggressive cross-examination. That tends to be the conventional wisdom when you're dealing with victims who are alleged victims of sexual assault or abuse. And then it could be a conflict with one of the victims themselves. Maybe Agnifilo, maybe Ricco consulted with them or even represented them.
But here's where it gets even messier. There's been talk that Diddy's legal team might actually be working against his best interests, whether intentionally or not. Some speculate that their primary goal isn't to get him out of jail, but to keep him there long enough to ensure he doesn't spill any secrets that could implicate others. Let's not forget the rumors about Diddy's alleged cooperation with federal authorities. If he's trading information for leniency, who's really benefiting from that arrangement? Could it be that his defense team is more focused on controlling the narrative than securing?
Combs is seen shoving, kicking, and dragging his then-girlfriend down the hallway. And now he's posted an apology.
But here's where it gets even messier. There's been talk that Diddy's legal team might actually be working against his best interests, whether intentionally or not. Some speculate that their primary goal isn't to get him out of jail, but to keep him there long enough to ensure he doesn't spill any secrets that could implicate others. Let's not forget the rumors about Diddy's alleged cooperation with federal authorities. If he's trading information for leniency, who's really benefiting from that? Arrangement? Could it be that his defense team is more focused on controlling the narrative than securing?
Yeah, Jessica, it is very difficult to watch. We are actually going to go through it and show our viewers what he is apologizing for. But
the revelation of the certificate has also reignited discussions about Cassie's role in Diddy's downfall. Once seen as a loyal partner who stood by his side through thick and thin, she has emerged as one of the most vocal accusers in his ongoing legal saga. Her decision to file that explosive lawsuit in 2023 was a turning point, and while the case was settled within 24 hours, it opened the floodgates for others to come forward. Now, with the certificate adding weight to her claims, Cassie's credibility has reached new heights. Some are even calling her the key to unraveling the web of allegations surrounding Diddy.
And at one point, he appears to throw what looks like vases at her. Now, this apology video that he posted today is the first time that he has acknowledged this event. In fact,
but Cassie's involvement hasn't been without controversy. Critics have accused her of seeking revenge, while supporters argue that she's finally finding her voice after years of silence. The public remains divided, with some questioning her motives and others applauding her bravery. What's clear, however, is that her actions have had a ripple effect, inspiring others to speak out and forcing Diddy to confront accusations that had long been swept under the rug.